Hello, beautiful viewers. Welcome once again to our reading channel. I'll be your reader for today, and my name is Cham. I know my Mary has been holding the fort down while we took care of other things, but it feels good to be back. I hope you're all staying safe and having good times with your family and loved ones. Today, the book that I'll be reading for you guys is actually a selection from the Barefoot book stories, the dance series collection. I'll be reading one of the stories from there, and so let's find out what the story is going to be about and what moral lessons that we can learn together as we read the story. I hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned. So the story that I selected to read to you guys today is titled Making the Stone Smoke. It's one of the stories, and we will dive into the story soon to find out what the story is about and the moral lessons that we can all derive from it. As a reader, when I read the story, I'll be able to point out some things and explain them so that you'll be able to better understand them. And as you're also watching and reading along with me, the things that you could do is ask questions and also answer those questions by leaving your comments below or by just talking out loud to yourselves. So let's begin. So we begin the story. And the title of the story is Making the Stone Smoke. When you think about the title of this book, what are the things that come to your mind? I guess we will find out very soon as we read the story. Once upon a time, on the island of St. Vincent, a king had a daughter as beautiful as the sun. And this king, he didn't want anyone to touch her or marry her, or get near her for anything in the world. So he put her in a big glass box. "You can't do that," said the queen. "She's a girl, not the crown jewels. She has to be married someday, or there won't be anyone to inherit the kingdom." The king said, "I'm not planning to die." And the queen said, "Nevertheless, someday you will. So you better start planning for it." So as we have already read the first session of the book, you can understand that it's about a girl who is very beautiful. And because she is so beautiful, the father, who is the king, decided to create a glass box and put the daughter inside that glass box just because she doesn't want to part with the daughter when she eventually grows and would have to marry somebody else and begin a family with them. So you can see the queen ensuring that the dad knows that this is a girl and eventually she will get married. And because they don't have any sons, eventually that girl has to be the one to inherit the palace, and whoever marries her will also have to do the same. So let's find out what the king will do with this new information that he is just realizing for himself as of now. The king scratched his head and saw the wisdom of his wife's words, but still he hated the idea of anyone marrying his daughter. So he decided to make it very tough for anyone to win her. He sent out a notice all around the island with a crier who called out, "Listen up! Listen up!" And when he had everyone's attention, he gave them the king's invitation. "There is a large stone in the middle of the courtyard. Anyone who can dance this stone into smoke can marry my daughter and get the palace too." Let's hear the announcement one more time. "There's a large stone in the middle of the courtyard. Anyone who can dance this stone into smoke can marry my daughter and get the palace too." The king figured this would be impossible, and for a long while he was right. Many men from the east and west, and north and south came, and they danced their shoes to pieces, but they couldn't make that big stone smoke. See, the king told his wife, I am giving them a chance. Some chance, she said, and she went on to sit next to the glass box to chat with her girl. So as you can see, the king is making it very tough for anybody to actually marry the daughter. And so what he decided to do is make it very tough. So he made a challenge that every young man who is interested in marrying his daughter would eventually have to dance around a big stone until that stone turns to fire and dust, which is practically impossible unless you have a superpower to turn things into fire. And so many people, many young men came from different regions of the country just to try it out so that they can marry the daughter. And most of them had failed. Now let's move on. And then as we dive into the story further, we'll find out if the girl will ever get out of the glass stone and if a young man would be able to be successful in the endeavor of making sure that that stone turns to fire. Now far away, Anansi heard about the princess who was as beautiful as the sun, and he gave the matter a great deal of thought. Anansi thinking is not a pretty sight to see, but it usually works out to Anansi's profit. After he finished thinking, he went to his tailor. Tailor, said Anansi, make me a red coat with trim all around and special pockets all the way to the ground. When the red coat was done, Anansi put it on and went to the sugar boiling house and said to the overseer, put ashes in my pockets, man, and I will reward you when I can. Then he put on his shoes, the heavy leather ones, and went off to the king's palace. The king greeted him as he had greeted every other dancer, though he laughed at little Anansi behind his hand. For Anansi was not only small, he was ugly. So this is Anansi right here. You can see him sitting on something, all dressed up in his red coat with the shoes, and he's looking all dapper and ready to go and fight for the princess's hand. Here is my daughter, Anansi, the king said, pointing to the girl in the glass box. There is the stone. He pointed to the big gray stone. Dance it to smoke, and she is yours. Anansi bowed and went over to the stone that was twice as high and twice as broad as he was. And as he went over, he was already starting to sing and dance. I will set the box girl free. Heidi hoo hoo, that girl's for me. His heavy leather shoes began to scuff the ground, and he swung his hips and shook himself all over. Quick, quick, slow. Step, rock, close, pause. He did the mambo with great flair. Oh, he was starting to have a real good time. So Anansi is already in the move of getting all of his dance groove on, and he started dancing and singing to himself that that girl is definitely going to be his. Let's find out if that is the case. What are you singing? Shouted the king. Anansi sang out even louder. I will set the boxed girl free. Heidi hoo hoo, that girl's for me. Then he turned around, slid his feet about some more, and clapped his hands for the limbo stick. The crowd brought out the stick and held it just inches from the ground. Anansi slid under the limbo stick. As he did so, he secretly began to flap his arms and bang them down hard against the pockets filled with ashes. So as you know from the beginning of the story, he went to the sugar boiling man and had ashes filled in all of his pockets. And as he did the limbo dance, he's using a strategy to ensure that he's hitting the sides of his pockets so that the ashes will all come out and it will seem as if he's dancing the stone to fire. So the limbo, it's some form of dance where two people stand on either side and they hold a stick. And then the dancer have to slide under the limbo stick as they dance their way underneath it. And that is exactly what Anansi is doing right here. Great. I will set the boxed girl free. Heidi hoo hoo, that girl's for me. 4 times and 4 times and 4 times more. He banged against those pockets, slapping his sides and singing loudly as he went under the stick. Then he stood upright and began twirling around. He stomped and he thrummed and he shimmied all about. Ashes flew up from the pockets and into the air and all over the courtyard. Gray ashes like smoke. The king couldn't see a thing, only the smoky ashes. The queen couldn't see a thing, only the smoky ashes. The beautiful princess behind the glass could see a little better, and she just laughed and laughed, knowing that she would soon be set free. And still Anansi danced. "Stop! Stop!" the king cried, afraid that the whole palace would go up in smoke. "You win. The girl's for you." Anansi stopped. He bowed to the king. He bowed to the queen. Then he winked at the princess, and the guards opened the glass box. The girl walked out, free. And if they ever married, well, that's between them. Not you or me. The wire is bended. My story's ended. So before we go into the virtue of the day, I'll just go and explain this page further. So as you can see, after he started flapping the sides of his pocket so that the ash will flew all in the air, the king couldn't see anything. So couldn't the queen. But then the girls, luckily for her, she was in a glass cage and she was able to see some part of what was happening. And because she saw that, she was really happy and anticipating her freedom. So she was just laughing to herself. And then what Anansi did was dance. So he danced his heart out. He was able to do some moves like move around, turn around as he did those maneuvers by flipping the sides of his pockets. And he also did the shimmy, which was a sign of his happiness and looking forward to having the princess as his bride-to-be. And so all of this paid off. As you can see, he really planned out, thought out what he wanted to do, and he planned it out detailedly, ensured that he had all the tools he needed before he went to the king and did the dance so that he could have the princess as his bride. And so eventually he won because the king thought that the palace was going to go up in smoke. And so he decided to just cut it short and tell Anansi that you're victorious, so the girl is yours. What are the moral lessons that you guys have learned from this story? I hope you enjoyed it. And as we go into the virtue of the day, I want you to really think about some of your goals that you have. Like, what are the goals you want to achieve in life? What are the things that you find hard to do, that you're struggling with? And how do you intend to take the needed steps to get to those goals and make sure that you achieve them as well as? So Anansi did not just go and said, I'm going to participate, despite the fact that he was very short, Despite the fact that people looked at him as an ugly person, he didn't see all of the deficits that he had. All he saw was resources and how he could use all of those resources to ensure that he got what he needed. And so he planned it out, went to a tailor, made sure that the tailor showed him a nice coat that he could fill the pockets with ashes. And then he went to the sugar boiling place where the overseer was able to help him put all the ashes in his pockets. And as he danced in front of the king, he was able to use his own tricks to be able to make sure that the ashes flew in the air. And so people thought that the stone was actually going up in smoke. So those are the things that I want you to really do when you're going about your business as well. Think it very through and make sure that you have everything that you need in place. If you are not sure, you can go and ask for help. So the virtue for today that I have in connection with this book is purposefulness. Anansi was a very purposeful person. He knew what he wanted, and he knew the things that he needed to ensure that he got everything that he needed. And so I'm going to read from this what purposefulness is all about, and what are the qualities that somebody that has purpose and works with purposefulness need to embody and possess in their daily dealings of their lives and even with people. So here we go. Purposefulness. Being purposeful is having a clear focus. Begin with a vision for what you want to accomplish and concentrate on your goals. Do one thing at a time without scattering your energies. Some people let things happen. When you are purposeful, you make things happen. So that's exactly what Anansi did. He made sure that he made things happen. He didn't just sit and said, I am ugly, I'm too short, I can't dance the stone to smoke. Instead, he looked at what can he do? And so he planned it out and took all the measures, and he was able to achieve exactly that. So be a purposeful person. Be somebody that makes things happen instead of waiting for other people to make it happen. And so the qualities that, qualities that people have, like people that are purposeful have, include having a clear vision of what you want to accomplish. Know why you are doing it. Why do you want to do whatever it is that you set your mind to do? Focus on a goal. Make sure you have a goal that you are working towards at the end of the day. Go back on purpose if you get scattered or distracted. Sometimes we want to do certain things, and a lot of our life struggles will come in the way. When you look at it, coronavirus came. A lot of people have plans of traveling. A lot of people have plans of getting married or furthering their education. But because the corona pandemic came, everything falls short. And so despite that fact, you have access to the internet, you have online classes, people are still going about their business. So make sure that when you fall short or things happen that are not even in your control, you try and get back on track. The other one is do things one at a time and finish what you start. Don't start things and then let them go. Most of the time we start doing something and then something comes up across and we forgot that we have already started doing something else. And so we leave that in and it falls through the crack. That is not something I want you guys to do. I want you, when you start something, make sure you finish it. Even if you want to put something else in place to do, make sure whatever you start, you end it, you see it through to the finish line. The last one is persevere until you get results. Things can be tough. Sometimes you might have goals for yourself and they're very tough to accomplish. But the thing is, the real goal is don't ever give up. Make sure you pull through. Have a family or people that believe in you and that will push you to get things done. If you feel down, try things that will motivate you to get back on track. And eventually, no matter how long it takes, you will get there. So I have an affirmation that I want you guys to read to yourself during this week, and the affirmation goes: I am purposeful. I am clear about what I am doing and why. I stay focused on my goals. I know I can accomplish great things. Let me read it one more time. I am purposeful. I am clear about what I am doing and why. I stay focused on my goals. I know I can accomplish great things. So use this affirmation during the week. Make sure you embody it. Make sure you have it in the wall. If you need to remind yourself, write it on a piece of paper and paste it somewhere that whenever you walk out, you will see it, and then it will remind you that you need to have a purpose in everything that you do, and that you need to have goals. And when you set those goals, you need to work hard and make sure that you're on track, to make sure that whenever you start doing stuff, you see it through to the end. Have a wonderful day. And please, 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 please don't forget to comment, like the video, and subscribe. You can share the videos with your friends and families and loved ones. Bye.